You think you've seen everything that happens in the NFL, touchdowns, tackles, and all the drama on the field. But what if I told you the real chaos happens behind closed doors? From wild celebrations to shocking confrontations, these locker room moments will make you see your favorite players in a whole new light. Let's start with one of the weirdest sights in NFL locker room history: Patrick Mahomes and his dad bod scandal. Fresh off another big game, cameras caught Mahomes shirtless, and fans didn't notice his stats. They noticed his stomach. Within minutes, Twitter renamed him Patrick McDadbod. Even his own teammates joined the joke, printing his body onto t-shirts and wearing them around the facility. Mahomes tried to laugh it off, saying his six-pack was just hiding under the dad layer. But the memes never died.
I have a six-pack, it's just under the dad bod, so it's just...
It became one of those rare locker room moments that turned a superstar into a walking internet joke. But not every behind-the-scenes moment was lighthearted. Some went too far, like the Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott spitball war. Dak was doing a normal post-game interview, trying to focus, when Zeke decided to turn the locker room into a middle school prank war. From across the room, he started launching spitballs straight at Dak's head mid-interview. You could see Dak fighting to stay calm, but that man's patience broke. Later, he got revenge, filling Zeke's entire locker with candy. It was childish, hilarious, and pure chaos. The kind of thing that shows how even NFL stars act like kids once the helmets come off. Then came the moments that crossed the line. Veteran players used to pull insane rookie hazing pranks, stuff that the NFL eventually had to ban. Rookies got tied up, dumped in ice baths, even had their heads shaved into clown shapes. Some were forced to sing embarrassing songs or do push-ups in their underwear just to earn respect. It was all fun until a few teams went too far, humiliating new players on camera, which made the league finally step in. The NFL called it behavior that endangers and degrades players. Now, it's completely banned. No more ice baths, no more eyebrow shavings. But old school players still brag that it built character. Yeah, or trauma. And speaking of humiliation, no one learned that lesson harder than Pat McAfee. Back when he was a punter for the Colts, the team had just won a huge playoff game. Everyone was celebrating, popping champagne, music blasting. McAfee thought he'd capture the moment with a locker room photo for Twitter. Bad idea, because right there in the background, completely naked, was teammate Andrew Luck. The photo exploded online before McAfee could delete it. The NFL wasn't laughing. They fined him $30,000 for violating player privacy. $30 grand for one accidental butt shot. That's the most expensive picture in NFL history. And one reason the league now keeps tight control over locker room footage. Now, not every locker room moment ends in laughter. Some straight up cost players their dignity. Take the Tennessee Titans, for example. In one of the worst starts to a season ever, their locker room looked less like a team and more like a therapy session. They were 0-4, being outscored by almost triple, and fans were already calling them the Titanics. Their rookie quarterback Cam Ward had been throwing picks like he was playing for the other team. When reporters finally asked him about the disaster, his answer became an instant meme. He said, "If we're being real, we're ass."
I mean, if we keeping a buck right now, we ass. So we 0-4. We have...
That brutal honesty set the tone for their locker room. Angry, embarrassed, but real. Even the veterans admitted they were falling apart. The cameras might have missed the games, but the frustration boiling behind those doors said everything about how pressure eats teams alive. But for every meltdown, there's a prank. And nobody does locker room pranks better than Joe Burrow's Bengals. One day, one of his teammates dressed up as a mannequin. Yeah, full body paint, fake eyes, the whole thing, and just stood perfectly still by the lockers. Trainers walked by, screamed, dropped their food. Then came Joe. Someone called his name, and as soon as he turned the corner, the mannequin jumped. Burrow nearly had a heart attack. The clip never hit national TV, but trust me, players still talk about it. NFL locker rooms aren't just filled with muscle and money. Sometimes they're just grown men trying to scare each other for fun. But some moments went beyond pranks. They became legendary. Like when Chad Johnson, also known as Ocho Cinco, decided to mess with his opponents before the game even started. Before facing the Browns, he sent their entire secondary a pack of Pepto-Bismol with a note that said, "You're gonna be sick trying to cover me." That man didn't just talk trash, he mailed it. The audacity was unreal, but it worked. He dominated that game and turned the Browns' locker room into a graveyard of shattered egos. Players still say that was one of the coldest psychological plays in football history. Then came a crossover moment no one saw coming: Kevin Durant versus the NFL. During a playoff game between the Commanders and the Lions, a Detroit player scored and mocked KD's signature dance. Harmless, right? Wrong. After Washington came back to win, KD didn't just post a revenge tweet. He showed up in the Commanders' locker room. Players were clowning Detroit, and KD joined right in, roasting the Lions for their buffs, the iconic Cartier glasses Detroit rappers wear. He looked into the camera and said, "What you gotta say now? Where your buffs at?" It was petty, it was savage, and it was one of those rare crossovers that blurred the line between sports and internet culture. Just when you think you've seen it all, the NFL finds new ways to make locker rooms go viral. Some moments are hilarious, some are awkward, and others, they hit you right in the gut. The strangest, the Eagles' mind reader experiment. During a team event, the Eagles brought in a magician who claimed he could read minds. Players laughed it off until he picked A.J. Brown. The guy told him to close his eyes and picture his first crush. Then, in front of the entire team, the magician guessed her name. When he said Fantasia, the locker room erupted. Grown men screaming like kids, running around like they'd just witnessed witchcraft. Brown was speechless. You could see it in his eyes. The moment spread through social media like wildfire. It wasn't just funny, it was freaky. The kind of behind-the-scenes chaos fans never get to see. But not every moment gets laughs. Some turn personal real quick, like Saquon Barkley's drug test scare. After one of the best games of his career, over 300 total yards and 2 touchdowns, Barkley walked into the locker room to find a drug test letter taped to his locker. Everyone knew what that meant. Every time a player dominates too much, the league randomly tests him. The irony had his teammates dying laughing, teasing that the NFL thought he was superhuman. Barkley just rolled his eyes, saying he'd been tested enough for one lifetime. It was a moment that showed how insane greatness can look. So insane, even the league doesn't believe it's real. But locker room jokes can also expose real emotions, like the Ravens' heartbreak after their collapse against the Bills. That loss was brutal. Lamar Jackson, the face of the franchise, broke down crying in the locker room, head in his hands, surrounded by silent teammates. Cameras weren't allowed in, but reporters later said the entire room felt heavy, like a funeral. For once, there was no laughter, no music, no trash talk, just pain. Teammates tried to comfort Lamar, but he couldn't even speak. That's the raw side of the NFL you never see, the part that reminds you these athletes aren't superheroes. They feel everything, from pranks and Pepto-Bismol to tears and tension. These are the moments cameras were never meant to catch. Behind the helmets and headlines, the NFL's locker rooms are where the real stories live. The hilarious, the heartbreaking, and the completely insane.